What's happening with it, world? It's your boy, the Toothless Wonder, reporting on the Bamboozle Again News Network. And I got I don't know, something to just drop on y'all. Just some random thoughts, right? Um, in reference to like prophecy and like where certain groups of people, just inquiring minds like mine would want to know, right? So among the chosen talking point, right, which is scriptural, the house of Israel, which if you're a victim of the or you may not know if you're a victim of the transatlantic slave trade. Like Deuteronomy 28 doesn't fit anybody else but those affected by the transatlantic slave trade. I was thinking along the lines of it doesn't apply to the people who actually occupied the state of Israel. You know what I mean? Woo woo woo, right? So as we move forward and we see, our captivity, even though we're not physically captive, a lot of times we're mentally and spiritually captive, or to some degree, like Marcus Garvey said, we've drunken from the word says that people, nations become drunk of the wine of the fornication of Babylon. I don't know what Marcus Garvey's quote unquote religious belief system was, but he had a similar quote saying that if black people drink from the waters of Western civilization, we'll die from its effects. I noticed, in Roman culture, um, researching that they would initially conquest, but if you fight people, they tend to fight back. It's actually easier, just like they probably did in the 60s, where they start assimilating you to their culture, where you start taking on their values, customs, belief systems, and then you're further removed from your own customs, belief systems, values, and you start adopting whatever mindset of said, cap, cap, captor or whatever the case may be. Um, And then, like when I read Maccabees of how those that did assimilate, they were given certain perks in the society or certain esteem, like how they, during slavery, they might prop up the pastor man, so we have somebody to look up to because they might have some knowledge or some eloquence about themselves that galvanizes us to them. And then we're looking at the trinkets given to them by the oppressor for at the very least pacifying you, right? So as we're in the stage of, coming into knowledge of who we truly are, how we're supposed, like dietary stuff, civil laws, how we should, treat one another and conduct one another and so on and so forth, right? I'm of this belief. Um, there, now they say there are more women in the world than men. I believe that to be true. And then let's say here in Babylon, if you count out those who like were on drugs or in jail, underemployed, whatever, you know what I'm saying? The numbers are significantly even more skewed, right? So my belief in the chosen community, or at the very least those that know who they are, right? Um, there are significantly more men than women, right? Um, just like in slavery where they kind of inverted everything, so they kind of placed the woman over top of the man. And then moving forward, after the 60s and the social services and the deindustrialization of, the inner cities, the influx of drugs and guns and so on and so forth have kind of helped create um, the social kind of cataclysm that we see now, right? So again, back to my point, if there are more chosen men than women because we're not in our culture, then what is God's plan for the daughters of Zion? Now, I understand like repentance to a degree in relation to me going through, substance abuse treatment and getting off alcohol and drugs, right? There's a lot of work. Like you can like stop drinking, but then there's work to be had that no one sees to become a better person and to evolve from not just doing that thing, right? Just like, I don't know, a woman could, let's say, have a history of quote unquote cheating, right? And she can not cheat for whatever reason. But until she looks at why she did it or feel, or there's some consequence that actually makes her look at her behavior, you can stop, but you'll probably go back unless you feel the pain of what you were doing. Such as myself, now I no longer have any desire to drink or do drugs, or I don't romanticize like the past, or um, I don't find, the bar scene or the streets even remotely appealing. And that's been so because of the long, arduous journey in this, so say, recovery process, where I see how uh, fictitious it was, how illusionary it was. So it doesn't appeal to me. Um, and saying that, I say that to say this: without consequences, such as in the social construct we find ourselves in, if there's no consequence for bad behavior, then the behavior typically persists until there's some type of catalyst that stops you in your tracks. Almost reminiscent of Paul on his road to Damascus, where he got stopped in his tracks from persecuting the Christians. And not only did he stop him, from my research, there's, I believe, like a 3-year period where he's like off the grid. I guess being worked on, purged by the Most High, relearning things, seeing the wrongs of his errors, humbling himself, the death of the ego, so on and so forth, right? So back to my question: where does this lead the daughters of Zion? Because I was wondering if there are significantly more men that are chosen or awakened or whatever the case may be. And if the system kind of stops the alleviate, and a lot of times we get awakened because of pain, but if the system has kind of propped up the woman, the modern woman, or any woman who chooses to take advantage of, the society that she's well versed in, who are the chosen men supposed to get with? If there are significantly more men than women, but in society it's the other way around, there are more women than men. It was just a passing thought. So who do these men get with? Because of course, men can't share a woman. You know what I mean? So do these men then turn around, which I believe is valid, get a woman of another race who's not of the, I guess, 12 tribes, so long as she's following you as you follow the Messiah? You see what I'm saying? But again, it leads me down this rabbit hole of where does that lead the daughters of Zion? And I'm particularly talking about like black women in America here. From my understanding, Haitians, anybody a victim of the transatlantic slave trade, Hispanics, Native Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians, the folks of the Caribbean islands, so on and so forth. But for the American black woman who I understand to be of the tribe of Judah, where does that leave them when they're stuck in a culture that upholds tomfoolery? I also understand that you can do so much tomfoolery that it erodes away at you to the point where you might be, or you're not able to be redeemed without a lot of personal shadow work that typically comes from pain and suffering. What happens to these women? They can't go along with the system if the system falls, because the system don't care about it. They just use them as a proxy. And I say this out of concern and compassion. To be totally honest and frank with you, and I never thought I'd see the day, because growing up, I was kind of brought with this, quote unquote, what you would call black pride, right? So when I was younger, I actually wanted to, like, because I had grandparents and they were married like 60, 70 years. You know what I mean? So I actually wanted or desired a darker skinned woman so I could have like stronger genes in my offspring and so on and so forth. I never fell into like the light skin kind of thing. Like them good chocolatey, yeah. They call me sweet toothers. You know what I'm saying? But as I've moved forward and become more enlightened and more understanding of the systems that are in play and so on and so forth, I hate to say this, but I no longer find black women even remotely attractive. Not even to really be around, let alone get butt naked with them. And understanding where her mindset is and where I'm at with it, to me, it's actually dangerous. I don't see a whole lot of black women, American black women, that catch my eye. For the sake of the matter, I can look and see, it's something different about her. I'm under this belief, throughout my, journey in sobriety and just being privy to certain people, that the vast majority have the Babylonian mindset, which is dangerous if you're trying to live right. That's why there are a whole bunch of niches on YouTube like the Manosphere, Red Pill, MGTOW, Passport Bros, of brothers of from various, geographical locations, education levels, upbringing, so on and so forth, comparing notes and just deciding to walk away or to deal with women of other races, so on and so forth, because of their negative or repeated negative experiences with black women. And there's a lot of anger and here's where the anger comes from. And it reminds me of that scene from Roots where Kunta runs off the plantation to get, I think her name was Kizzy. And he like, we about to bounce. But by this time, for whatever she endured, wherever she was at, she no longer identified with her former identity back in Africa or wherever they were at. She now identified as Master such and such as bed wench and would rather be that than escape with him. And I think that's also a part of the curse of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like other nations ravishing your woman and so on and so forth. And I know there's a lot of anger. And I've had that earlier on in my journey. But the anger isn't out of hate. The anger, when you dig down deeper or unpeel the layers, is actually out of disappointment. Because to some degree, I could make the argument that the modernized black woman has committed treason, not just against the black man, not just against her own children. Of course, we know they, abort children at an astronomical rate, but committed treason against our own future for momentary trinkets and comfort, or the perception thereof. In my small town, I see, like I covered during graduation time, the youngins who were graduating high school through social media organized a Freakonk, in which back in the projects, which is it's a pretty big kind of area, literally all the youngins was outside with porn star outfits on. I was blown away. They didn't organize, I don't know, like maybe in the 60s, something like, going down to the city hall and demanding job opportunities or, skill trades and nothing like that. They organized, they reiterated harlotry. And I didn't see, when I had my delivery order, had to go back there, I didn't see no grown folk or no black city leaders or no, any community upholding. Well, one, I believe ain't no men in there. Not no real ones that's going to, It's just the youngers out there who trapping. Or if there's an older guy, let's say my age, he probably kind of somewhat effed up in the game and forced to live with a woman, so he ain't got no woo-to-woo. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I was just thinking in compassion, like, when all this falls apart, where does this leave the daughters of Zion, whether they be enlightened or not? At that time, are they called to repentance? You know what I'm saying? And then I was thinking, like, yeah, like I could forgive. And I'm not really, honestly, someone who holds their past against them, so long as I don't see it in your present. We all got a past. I know I got a dubious one. You understand me? But I also know the work it took to become a better human being, just for the sake of becoming a better human being. Not for any, even though there is benefit to it, you don't get none of that initially. So let's say it all fall apart and then here we are, and then, you know what I mean, woo-woo. To me, it's still dangerous, or the illusion is taken away and we see the error of our ways, right, in totality. You're still going to have those ways in you unless you purge it out of you for a period of time. Then in this microwave culture, nobody wants to do that. So then, let's say you take, let's say the American, out of compassion or whatever the case may be, she's still going to be venomous because she's still conditioned to emasculate you or whatever the case may be. She's still conditioned to work against your best interest. So, like, what is, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, I'm kind of like fearful, you know what I'm saying, of the state of the modern black woman. Not, the ones that attempt to, or at least are trying, you know what I'm saying? And this covers the gambit, right? Because to me, there's two different types of black folk, right? Now you have, the hood, right, quote unquote, which is degenerate and, what I'm saying, uncouth or whatever, whatever. But then you also have those who, let's say, are more inclined to finance, which ain't nothing wrong with that. But their God is like social status and the comforts of life and so on and so forth. They do all the same stuff that people in the hood do because hood culture has infiltrated just every aspect of the black existence, right? It just looks a little better with the latter portion or demographic of black people because they might have a nice home or a foreign car, but they doing all the same stuff that people in the hood doing. They still idolize, or they just might be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? They can carry it a little better. But from my understanding, when I've been privy to that realm of society, they cheating. You know what I'm saying? They doing the same stuff that people in the hood do. They got the same brain as them, just not the same outward circumstance. They still choose, wrong mates and, you know what I'm saying? Or they'll choose a man that they can control, but they'll still sleep with the hood dude or, you know what I'm saying? It's so crazy. Or I was thinking about this too as well. Now, in light of the Diddy situation and this perception or this questioning of how many people he's punished or how many people in rap and in Hollywood are actually secretly behind closed doors, getting the booty warrior action right. It's almost like they rewired the consciousness or the psychology of the American black woman, I'm talking about more so, to actually see those type of men as attractive, whatever, whatever, but they're actually booty warriors, which may give some inkling into why the quote unquote good brother or the hard working brother or, the stable brother or the trying to, level up brother, why they have bad experiences with the modern woman, because she's actually hardwired to see you as not a man, but see the men who are booty warriors as the men to go for. And we only see this in predominantly black American culture. We don't really see this anywhere else. And maybe because we're the tribe of Judah, which Yeshua come from, maybe there's a greater attack from the adversary on us. Because I don't really see it. Now, of course, all that stuff goes on everywhere, no matter what culture you in. But I don't see it as pronounced and prevalent in Haitian culture, in Jamaican culture, in Hispanic culture. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it as greatly exercised. You know what I mean? So, like, I watched a video from Genghis Khan, right? And he made these articulations about another particular new YouTuber and his choice of, the race of the woman he deal with. Even though the woman's Hispanic, she's still of the northern tribes. I know that to be true. But he was making this articulation or this nuance and verbal sleight of hand to antagonize black women against him because his wife is an ABW, American Black Woman. But from what I've seen, that's why brothers are going over to, other countries. Now, I'm not of the belief you ain't going over there to buy no stuff. But even with those brothers, I don't really see them getting married. Maybe a few of them. Maybe if they go to like Southeast Asia. But it'd be really for, SCX tourism, in my humble opinion. I don't subscribe to that school of thought. But I'm just thinking like, who was brother? And it's almost like, and I said this in referencing, what I seen in the behavior of the woman at the job. It's like they'll shame you for having standards or shame you for knowing what's in your best interest. She can have unrealistic standards, but as soon as you got somehow something wrong with you. It's almost like they're trying to shame you into staying on the plantation. No different than what was the man named Fiddler, who was set up to kind of oversee or keep Kunta Kinte in line. And the boss told him, if you don't keep him in line, I'm going to punish you. So now he has a vested interest in making sure he conforms. Just like I'm seeing on the social media streets about these various black women, like on these podcasts or TikToks or whatever, talking about they're going to like not date black men or not give them no loving if they don't vote for Kamala. I could take that any which way. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like as we're going further down the rabbit hole of Babylonian destruction, yay! It's like everyone is fighting or doing their last grasp at power, their last grasp at money grabs. It's like everyone is picking from a carcass. You know what I'm saying? Now, okay, hypothetically, right? If a woman is able to force, for lack of a better word, the voting decision of a man she's dealing with, you might as well just go on about your business. Because if she's able to change how you vote, because she won't give you none, she ain't respect you no way, and you're gonna have a harder road anyway. You might as well just go on about your business. You damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Then okay, she stick to her guns. Okay, you still do what you do against her wishes. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get nothing no way, but at least you still intact. It's almost working both sides against the middle. Like, we're in this weird, super weird space where it ain't no compromise, which isn't weird in and of itself. It's like, at this point, no, that's what I was gonna say. You can't play the gray area. You can't straddle the fence. Because if you straddle the fence, by default, you're gonna get pushed on to the left side. You know what I'm saying? Like, a line in the sand is being drawn. Like, this is weird. Like, not weird, but I'm just wondering, like, out of compassion, because in my small town, I see a lot of and it's like, and I wonder, let's not ask God about this, right? Let's say she grows up the typical single parent household. She's seen moms do whatever, dad on whatever type of time he on, right? So she's deprived of the natural, engagement with her father. Then as a young girl, and nobody's taught her anywhere, even though we have social media now, and she's trying to fill that void, and then she falls unknowingly into harlotry at a young age, right? How much grace does she get if nobody's there to tell her? You see what I'm saying? Is she really doing this because this is what's really in her heart? Or because we're in captivity, we're operating in ways we normally wouldn't if we were in a sound, functional home? Granted, I understand the curses. But, like, how responsible are we for this? Granted, everybody's responsible for their own, actions and whatnot. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, now once you get 40, you know what you're doing. But I know, like, a 15-year-old girl who's already had 2 abortions. Now, from a psychological standpoint, based on what science says, she might be done for. She even get started. Unless she does the work or has the right people in her life to pour into her, which don't seem to be the case. If she goes on a path of more, harlotry or whoredom or negative experiences with men, like, how much grace does she get? You know what I'm saying? Or can we, like, you know what I'm saying? And I know his ways are higher than my ways, and his thoughts are higher than my thoughts. But how does he disseminate who gets grace and who don't? If that's you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't even know how I'm even trying to word this here. I'm just wondering. Like, for the young ladies who are out here, and now there's this thing of, it's hard to quantify. But let's say, okay, on the YouTube streets where brothers are talking about getting younger women, right? If the older ones are already all busted up. But unless he's actually wanting to marry the woman and bring her up, you know what I'm saying? Like how they do in Muslim cult, they might marry a 13, but they're actually married. They're not just sleeping with them and then going on about their business. You see what I'm saying? So if older men are getting with these younger girls because of whatever, less baggage, more feminine, whatever the case may be, to me that only works if he actually wants to, like, bring her unto himself for guidance, leadership, whoop, whoop, whoop. But just sleeping with them or tricking off on them because they don't know no better, you're actually contributing to the very same thing that we're complaining about on here. Like, there are so many issues, it's hard to come up with the solutions. and then implement them. I mean, I do it in my own personal life, but I'm kind of like the observative totality, across the board type Negro. You understand me? But I'm very concerned with the sisters, man. You know what I'm saying? Like everything I did at the job wasn't out of like some moral superiority. It was actually out of love and concern. That's why I told you the truth. That's why I already know you're gonna do it. I can't stop you from doing it, but at least go about it this way so it don't come back and bite you. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, none of them listen. Here's what I find odd too as well, yo. Like, from being around people and they, you know, for a period of time, like they know who you is. You know what I'm saying? They can perceive if you have best interests at heart, whatever, right? Or your leadership capabilities, wisdom, whatever, right? I ain't lied to nobody, and everybody know I did. Even if you ain't understand it, or I might have said it in an unorthodox way, he got my best interest at heart. But you won't listen to me, and you can't name nothing I lied about or something situation I put you in a precarious situation with, right? But I notice these same type of women, when a dude is running game or lying to them, they buy hook, line, and sinker and never question it. Repeatedly. It's almost like, what's that verse? I don't know if it's a verse or how's it worded, but to the degree and I told somebody else this that I know, right, when we having an in-depth conversation. And I said, look, Shawty, let's take the mask off. Like, you lie back, you be having game, you know what I'm saying? So she basically admitted, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We talking in jump, not me and her, right? But I said, here's what I find to be odd. For the level at which you lie and scheme and manipulate, somehow you can't tell when somebody else is doing it to you. You should be able to write the book on it. You attempt to manipulate and scheme, all the while being manipulated and schemed upon, but somehow can't tell when that's happening, even though that's all you do. Here's what I'm finding tripping too, right? Typically, the more you do something over a period of time, the better you should get at it. Now I'm seeing people repeat a behavior and get worse at doing said behavior. Like, let's say you steal, right? You should become better at stealing. But what's happening from what I'm saying is people who consistently steal are quickly getting, consequences or whatever for doing something they've always done, but over time they're getting worse at it. That has to be something spiritual, yeah. That's like me being a basketball player or something. And then after a period of time, the more I play, the worse I get at the game that I play every day. I don't know. This was just a quick one on the side. I'm just wondering, and I don't know if I did this justice in trying to quantify the nuances or the various aspects of what I'm saying in the modern black woman. And a lot of stuff be generational. So who breaks the generational curse? How was that chosen? I'm just wondering, you know what I'm saying? Because this a fight. If God had told me all the stuff I was going to endure after, trying to get it together and whoop, I wouldn't have signed up for it. That's initially from where I'm starting from, that seemed like too much work. I feel. So he ain't tell me, he just ran me through the gauntlet. Now I see the benefit in it. Now I see the healing. Now I see the foresight. Now I see the vision. You see what I'm saying? Now I see all these attributes you can't necessarily put on a resume, but it sets you above the rest when you're in, proximity of folk. Like I'm really just deeply concerned with the state of the black woman. Because I do actually give a damn. It's almost like the anger is actually like almost fatherly. Like I'm angry, not because I hate you, but I'm angry because I'm disappointed. Because I raised you better than that. You know what I'm saying? You messing up the family name. So now I gotta disown you. Or almost like a prodigal son type of thing. Where he go off and you mess around in the world and get his hind parts handed to him. The only place he can come on back home. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what happened to me. Oh, I just want to go home. Hey, home wasn't that bad. Now I understand the rules. It was actually there to keep me safe. It's so crazy. Like I seen this one post saying, this is how they flip-floppy did everything, right? Whereas though the modern or the feminist demonic talking point, right, will have you convinced that a woman, being of helpmeet or service to her husband is slavery. But going to work for another man at a company 40 hours a week is freedom. You see what I'm saying? It's mad wild out here, B. Everything is inverted. Right, wrong, wrong, right. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to conclude this one. Hey, if y'all got any thoughts in the comments, I know a good, shout out a few good brothers been giving me some good insight too. Because, I'm here to learn like everybody else. Each one teach one. But I'm just posing a question on the Sabbath. What is the state of the black woman? And on that note, I'm going to holler at y'all. Ooh,